In the teachings of Buddhism, there are 4 essential principles that help a daughter-in-law live harmoniously with her mother-in-law. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Stoic advised a newly married bride who had just moved into her husband's family that she might encounter difficulties. Therefore, she should follow certain principles, respect her parents-in-law, serve them thoughtfully as if they were her own parents, and treat her husband's relatives and friends with respect. By doing this, a newlywed creates peace and harmony in her new family. The Stoic also taught that a daughter-in-law who wishes to live peacefully with her mother-in-law must remember the golden words filial piety, affection, virtue, and morality. First, filial piety. Filial piety is the foundation of human ethics. Confucius taught that among hundreds of virtues, filial conduct stands above all. The Stoic taught that among thousands of good deeds, the greatest is filial piety. Parents give life, nurture, and care for their children from infancy until adulthood. When a daughter-in-law calls her mother-in-law mother, she should understand this principle. Every child owes filial responsibility to their parents. The mother-in-law raised her son into a strong man, the very man who is now her husband. Showing filial piety is also a form of gratitude. Second, affection. No one can escape emotional ties. A mother-in-law and daughter-in-law are not enemies. They are connected by love. The mother loves her son with the unconditional love of a parent. The daughter-in-law loves the same man with the love between partners. Both women share affection for the same person, but in different forms. For harmony to exist, both sides must practice patience and understanding. A good relationship requires cooperation and nurturing from both. Third, morality Tao. A teacher once said, morality is not somewhere far away. It exists within the goodness and conscience inside you. Before becoming a daughter-in-law, a woman is already a daughter, and as a daughter, she must uphold moral responsibilities. The mother-in-law is the one who gave birth to the man she loves, the man she chose to spend her life with. Living morally toward one's mother-in-law is also partially repaying the husband's filial duty. If one sees the mother-in-law only as someone else's mother, then one becomes selfish and fails to live in accordance with moral principles. Everyone commits mistakes, harsh words, lies, disobedience. These are violations of morality that lead to loss of virtue. Someday the daughter-in-law will become a mother-in-law herself. How would she want to be treated? A daughter-in-law should view her mother-in-law as her own mother, and a mother-in-law should treat her daughter-in-law as a daughter, guiding her with sincerity. A new daughter-in-law is unfamiliar with the family's traditions and needs guidance with understanding, not harshness. Mutual empathy leads to a peaceful household. Fourth, virtue GC. Many Stoicism followers often share a story. A monk once saw a scorpion drowning and lifted it from the water. The scorpion stung him, but he did not get angry. Moments later, the scorpion fell in again, and the monk saved it once more and was stung again. Someone asked why he continued rescuing the creature. The monk replied gently, "Its nature is to sting. My nature is to save. Why should I abandon my nature because of its nature?" The same applies to the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Doing good because someone is good to you is easy. Doing good because it aligns with your virtue is true character. A person with virtue can transform and inspire others. A person without virtue causes misery for themselves and others. The Stoic taught that the golden words, filial piety, affection, morality, and virtue guide a person to live ethically and bring blessings to their home. When one has virtue, blessings naturally follow. A famous master wrote a teaching on virtue. Those with virtue practice compassion, humility, patience, and generosity. They rejoice in others' success, live with a gentle heart, and cultivate kindness. Virtue brings peace, protection, and blessings across lifetimes. There is a story about a troubled mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. The daughter-in-law felt suffocated and frustrated. The mother-in-law constantly scolded her, and the young woman became stubborn in return. The home filled with tension. The husband felt torn between mother and wife. One day, the young woman sought a healer and asked for poison to kill her mother-in-law. At first the healer refused, but after persistent begging, he agreed with conditions. He gave her medicine and instructed her to cook it with chicken for her mother-in-law. But for the poison to work, she must obey her mother-in-law, treat her kindly, and care for her lovingly every day. She followed his instructions. Over time, the entire neighborhood was shocked. The once stubborn daughter-in-law became gentle and caring. The mother-in-law, touched by her behavior, changed as well. They grew close like true mother and daughter. One day the young woman panicked. The medicine had all been consumed. She begged the healer for an antidote. The healer smiled and said, "The medicine I gave you was only a tonic. The real poison was in your mind. Your kindness has washed it away. Remember, the way you treat others determines how they treat you in life." We must remember the 4 words: filial piety, affection, morality, and virtue. They create harmony in family relationships, especially between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. True value is not measured by wealth or social status, but by the virtue one shows in family relationships. A woman who marries into a family begins as a daughter-in-law but eventually becomes a mother and will understand the heart of a mother-in-law. Filial piety, compassion, morality, and virtue are timeless values that shape strong families and a thriving society. The mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship is not just a family matter, it is a societal one. When they live in harmony, the family prospers. When conflict arises, it can break a household. Therefore, a daughter-in-law must remember the 4 words to create a peaceful family. Thank you for listening to today's message. May you receive positive energy and live peacefully. Closing paragraph. Stoicism Philosophy Daily. This message reflects the heart of Stoicism Philosophy Daily, guiding you toward emotional wisdom, inner balance, and compassionate living. Through these timeless lessons on family, virtue, and harmony, we hope to bring clarity and peace to your daily life.